Welcome to Winners, Wallets, and Worldviews, the only show that's going to teach you how to be somebody.
Where in your life did you learn that you're not good enough?
Take what you're most passionate about and what you're most fearful of. And what is the plan to overcome that fear? And what is the plan to enact that passion?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Winners, Wallets, and Worldviews. Winners, we bring on guests every couple weeks that teach us how to master their segment of the industry. Wallets, we talk about money, entrepreneurship, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, and worldviews. We talk about theology, philosophy, and how we can improve ourselves and improve others through our unique look on the world. So my name is AJ Armstrong. I am your host. You can go to aaronjarmstrong.com and you can read up all about me, and you can find these podcasts there as well. I just was putting in what episode this is. This is episode 96. I can't believe it. We're closing in on 100 pretty soon. When I first started this thing out, I had a lot of encouragement, but I couldn't even believe that I would be doing 100 episodes shortly. So this is really something. So for those of you that have been listening since the beginning, I greatly appreciate your support following me along through this journey. And, you get these messages from people that say, something you said changed my life. And that, I couldn't think of a greater compliment. It just makes it all worth it. If just one person takes something away from this, it makes it all worth it, even if I don't get the downloads or the views or the metrics that I think make sense. It's still I still get the satisfaction of some of those people out there that this is working for and this is helping. So for those of you that have been supporting this throughout this journey, that's closing in on 2 years, opening up another season of the show, thank you very much for listening. I wanted to extend some gratitude to those who listen. And what I'll be doing is, if you haven't left a review on iTunes, please do, because at the 100 episode mark, I'm going to be announcing a winner of a $200 Amazon gift card. So this is all you got to do. I'll break it down really easy. You just got to leave a positive review, 5 stars, something nice, that meaningful about how this show has helped you in your venture in life. And then just take a screenshot of it, send an email to info@aaronjarmstrong.com. We'll put you in our file, and we're going to randomly select one of those winners to take $200 away. To put this into context, we only have about 40 comments right now. So you got a pretty good chance of getting $200 if you decide to leave a comment. I'm just saying. So it's pretty good odds if you just take the extra 2 steps to screenshot it and send it to us so we know who you are. We're not going to spam you or anything like that. We just want to know who you are so we can make sure we get you the Amazon gift card when that happens, because some people put in anonymous names and stuff like that, and you know how it is. Well, anyway, closing in on 100 episodes. Outstanding. So exciting. We just launched a new project we're working on. Quite literally, it's called the Venture Project, and it's going to be a business incubator we're opening up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. That's where I live. And we're really excited about it. It's going to be a co-working space, business incubator, and a mentoring group. And I've been trying to get this thing going for 2.5 years now, and we've been looking at different spaces, looking at different networking groups. We didn't know if we wanted to move or not, but we're here. We're here, and the big theme this year for me has just been blossom where you're planted. You don't need to move somewhere. You don't need to go somewhere crazy. You don't need to be in a big city in LA, Hollywood, Wall Street, all these things people, think the media makes us think success is like. It doesn't matter so much. What really matters is to blossom where you're planted. Where are you right now? How can you be valuable in your present context, in your present moment? How can you, contribute to your friends, your family? How can you deepen the relationships in your life? And how can you truly contribute value in this world? The only way to do that is to start where you are, whatever that looks like. Wherever you're at, blossom. And that's the theme for the Venture Project. So we want to work with local entrepreneurs, in our case, Oshkosh, Appleton, Neenah, the Fox Valley, Wisconsin area. It's open to all you folks. And we're starting with the networking segment of it. We're building up a group of people that want some of that value, that want some encouragement in their business, and we're having free meetups. It's incredible. So if you happen to find your way here, I'm going to be hosting free meetups in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. You can go to the Venture Project on Facebook, and you can get all the information there. You can also go to the Venture Project and join our group. And you can get any information you want on how to come meet us, hang out with us, grab some free beer, wine. You guys know me. Coffee buffet, of course, will be available if you're an NA person. I like to encourage, like I did last year, I wanted to encourage a lot of my friends that were struggling with alcoholism that you can go a year without drinking. So that's what we did. I went about 400 days without drinking last year to support. And, we want to also have NA options for those that come to these networking events. So you'll be hearing more about the Venture Project and what that means, opening up our co-working space. I couldn't be more excited about it. I think it's going to be so exciting just to connect with people. I've built up a little bit of a social platform here, and I want to bring that to earth, right? I want to meet people face to face. I have my speaking circuit where I get a chance to meet people around the country and actually this year internationally, which is really exciting. But the more important story is, I think when you really meet someone face to face and you can kind of just feel that energy and that connection, it's so valuable to each other. I mean, we're just wired for human connection. So don't lose sight of that. I'm trying not to lose sight of it either because, it's so easy to just look at what's going on in social media and then you just get this like social media anxiety. It's just complete nuts. So just like focus, be present, blossom where planted. And that's what this Venture Project's all about. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about something that, you know how it is with me. I'm going through, I learned things, what's been going on in my life, and I try to bring that into what I've learned and share that with you guys. So if I happen to be at a different phase of my journey than you are, I can offer some insight and wisdom. And in this case, it's very specific to business. And I don't think this matters depending on if you're a small business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a wantrepreneur, or if you're in a big business or you're a corporate employee. I think this applies to everybody. And I want to talk about strategy. And strategy, I guess it gets defined differently all over the place. But what I define strategy as are decisions that you have to put together as a stakeholder to achieve some kind of desired outcome. And when we talk business strategy, it's some type of business victory, whether it's profitability, taking over a market share or something like that. It's very applicable to sports when you talk strategy. I think it's really easy to understand, but when we go dance into business strategy, people think it's something different, and it's really not. When you look at a sports strategy, there's plays, there's decisions that a coach and players make that's supposed to benefit them in the end so they can ultimately achieve the goal of winning the game. And that's what this is about. That's what strategy really is. It's playing to win. And I want to talk about a quick side rant before we jump into exactly how we play to win. And I've been doing a lot of work with a $6 billion proposal with strategy. So I've been applying a lot of this, and I've also been studying and reading it quite significantly lately. So I'm going to bring in, I think, all these different aspects to our discussion today. But one of the things I've noticed, quite frankly, been bothering me is I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs over the couple years, and almost every time when I ask someone, hey, why did you want to become an entrepreneur? Why did you want to start a business? They almost always give me, I'd say 80% of the time, they give me something like this. Well, I wanted to have freedom. I wanted to be able to set up my own life. I don't want to answer to the man. I don't want to work 9 to 5. I don't want to slave away. And those are all good reasons, I guess. But that's not necessarily going to make you win. Okay, I hate to break it to you, but you wanting a flexible schedule and freedom, the market doesn't care about your flexibility. The market doesn't care about your freedom. What the market cares about is if you have something valuable to contribute. And you can charge whatever prices you want, you can charge your worth, you can speak your truth, you can do all those things we talk about. But when it comes down to it, the market doesn't care about you. They care about the value you bring. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to playing to win. So these 80% entrepreneurs that talk like that say things like that, I often see that, those stats that say whatever, 99% of entrepreneurs fail, 80% of startups fail, or whatever, all these stats are people that I say describe themselves like that. I just don't want to answer to the man. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. So they dance around in their 20s, just doing whatever they think works. And then they end up just working, at a diner, or they end up working at the movie theater, or they take some kind of like low minimum wage job into their 30s because they didn't necessarily think about how to play their strengths correctly. Okay. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to give up hope to these entrepreneurs, but here are the people that I've noticed really rock as entrepreneurs. They're usually, and then this is in all cases, this is what I normally notice. So take it with a grain of salt, AJ's opinion. Okay. I've noticed most of the time, the entrepreneurs that truly crush it are the ones that are doing something, like they're in like a job, or they're working somewhere, they're working for somebody most of the time, and they're just like, I can just do this so much better. And they get so fired up because they're like, I can just do this so much better. And like this is how it was with Marissa, is she was working for a fitness company, and it's just like she's just looking and observing. She's like, I could just do this so much better. And it just fired her up that she's like, I can give more value than this. That feeling, I can give more value than what this is doing, is proof that you think you can take that market share. Not, oh, I just don't like working this hour, or I don't like working these hours, or I came from a family of entrepreneurs, or all these different things you hear all the time. The market doesn't care about that. The market wants you to deliver a product or service better than what's already out there. There's 3 things. I talk about this, and this is a key talking point in my St. Lucia trip too. There's 3 things that the market cares about. Can I do it cheaper? Can I do it faster? Or can I do it better? And if you can do all 3, you're going to start taking your market share, and you're going to actually have a business that makes money. So these are the things I try to teach my entrepreneurs. Is like, just get away from the selfishness associated with, I want to have this freedom. Those are good. You want to design your lifestyle, and that's part of it. And oftentimes when I will market a course or a coaching package or something, I'll talk to some of that language because I know that's what people are looking for. But it's just the old thing. It's right. It's give them what they want, sell them what they want, give them what they need. And I think most of the time what they need is they need to see somebody that recognizes their strengths, that says, hey, you can do this better. And this is what's going to take your market share. So when you start talking about, I want to have the freedom, I want to have this, I want to have that, you're just going to start creating things that give you freedom and that aren't necessarily strengths that are going to be able to take the market share and allow you to have a thriving business. So how do you start to figure out how to take the market share? And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's called strategy. That's making the correct decisions in your life or in your business decisions that compile a set of outcomes that favor a win. And what does a win mean? A win means there's got to be some kind of competition. So in this space, a lot of times we talk about, well, money's abundant, money's all around me. I think those are good things in the soft coaching side to get your mindset around the fact that, yes, there's opportunity out there, because we don't want to start shunning away opportunity. But we also have to recognize, from a realistic standpoint and from a classic economic standpoint, that there is a scarce amount of resources on the planet, and we need to take that market share to apply the rules of business. So this is where we need to understand when to differentiate these worldviews that sometimes people have. Well, money's abundant, it'll just flow to me, frequently and easily. That's more of a mindset thing. That's not a strategy thing. So Tony Robbins breaks this down. He talks about your state, your story, and your strategy. So your state is your physiology, your energy, the excitement, when you can put yourself into a peak state, oftentimes you function better physiologically. That's your state. Your story is that psychological thing we were just talking about. Like, money's abundant, it's all around, there's opportunities out there. That's having that mindset, that positive look to where you can be optimistic and find opportunity. But that alone isn't going to get you to the next level. The last piece is your strategy. You need to be making sure you're making the right choices, you're executing the right actions in your business or in your life. Those are the things we got to look at. So what's this strategy look like? And I'm going to give you a couple different tools you can use because we only got a couple minutes here on the pod. So I want to give you a couple tools. But the first thing you want to look at is, what is the goal here? What's your aspiration? Okay, and I shouldn't say goal. I should say more of like, what is the purpose of this? What are we trying to do? If we're trying to win, who are we playing against? You got to look at your competition. You got to look at people stealing your attention. Okay, so it's easy early on to not recognize who your competition is. That's a problem. If you don't know who your competition is, or you're not seriously about to take a market share, you want to steal that market from somebody or somewhere. Look at Uber; they took it from the taxi companies, right? If you want to create a demand, you can do things like that. But ultimately, what you're looking to do is you're looking to steal attention. You're looking to steal money. You're not looking to steal money, of course, but you get the idea. You're looking to take that market share, and you're trying to get in there and interrupt it. So what's the goal? What are you trying to do? What's your winning aspiration? What's your purpose of being here? Like, what do you really want to do? How are you trying to move forward? What's your goal? Just like get around something that you're trying to chase. I mean, that alone, a lot of people don't do. They don't know what they really want to get at. Okay, so that's a whole couple days in itself to figure out what you really want to do. Let's say you got an idea, you got a goal. It's like, hey, I want to have X amount of business, and I want to have a very clear objective of getting there, and I want to take it from this. We do a full market analysis. We say this is my competition, this is the competitive landscape, these are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. We'll talk about that in a second. Some SWOT analysis, and we go through the opportunities and we evaluate. And there's a really good, I don't know, I'm a weirdo, so I actually read like Harvard Business Review and stuff. And for $8 you can go and, you guys can get an MBA for nothing. $8 you can get everything from Harvard Business School you need. And if you ever want, you can buy this toolkit. It's really helpful just to summarize everything. It's called a Market Analysis Toolkit, and it gives you situational analysis. And what it does is it goes over a couple different techniques you can use. Like one of them is the 5 C's, and I'll go through that really quickly for you just for the sake of this conversation. But one of them is analyzing your customers. You're doing like a needs analysis. You're analyzing the context. What environment are you playing in? Number 3 is you're analyzing the company. You're going to do number 4 is you're going to look at collaborators and complementers, so who are people you can strategically partner with. Competitors analysis, what's the competitive landscape look like? And then you can also get into Porter's 5 forces. This is more of kind of understanding the dynamics of your industry, if you will. You're trying to figure out what's going on in the space that I'm in. If I'm in the entrepreneurship, or if I'm in the life coaching space, what's going on in that industry, and how do we figure out, what's all going on with it? Where's the money coming in? You're analyzing the industry as a whole, not necessarily your company. And finally, what you want to do is you want to look at a SWOT analysis. And this is your strengths, your weaknesses. Internally, you're looking at what am I good at? What do I suck at? Very frankly, right? Well, what am I good at? What do I suck at? Opportunities externally. What are the things in the market that are there for the taking right now that I can go grab? And then you're looking at threats. What are the things in the market that are stopping me from achieving my success? So you can buy a toolkit like that. I just read through it really quickly, but I read through some of this stuff, and I think this is a really helpful framework to look at your business when you're starting to evaluate strategy. So first thing we want to do is we want to look at what is our winning aspiration. If you're taking notes, that's something you want to look at. What's the winning aspiration? The second thing we want to figure out is where are you going to play? Where are you playing the game? If you're going to be a YouTube star, you're playing in YouTube. You're playing, that's your space. You're trying to capture the attention there. If you're a restaurant owner, you're trying to gather local traffic. You're trying to gather local citizens to come to your business. What are you trying to do? Where are you playing? So what is your outcome you're looking for? Where are you playing the game? Because that's going to change your strategy significantly. It's a very different strategy between a YouTuber trying to make it versus a restaurant owner trying to make it. So brick and mortar strategy, online strategy, what is this looking like? Where are you playing? What does that look like? What is your landscape that we're working with? And sometimes you need to select that landscape to see what makes the most sense. Let's say you wanted to be a personality. Do you want to be a television personality? Do you want to be a YouTube personality? Do you want to be a social media personality? Do you want to be a traveling magician? It's just like, what kind of personality do you want to be? You got to figure out where do you want to play. This all comes into your strengths. What makes the most sense for you? What makes the most sense for your situation, for your circumstances? So we want to analyze all this stuff. I'm trying to do the best I can to summarize a very complex strategy or a very complex outlook on strategy into a 40-minute podcast. So bear with me, but just to recap what we just went through is you want to look at the different types of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats that you might have within your business and yourself. So you have strengths and weaknesses internally, threats and opportunities are externally. You want to evaluate what is your goal, what are you trying to do, and then you want to figure out where you want to play. Now the next part's a little bit trickier. It's how do you plan to win, okay? So we figure out what we want to do, figure out where we want to play. The next question is how do you want to win? Or it's how will you win? What is going to be the approach? This was when it gets fun. This is like, okay, what are the decisions we need to line up? How are we going to get there? How have other people done this? How could we add on to how other people have done this? What are all the different things we could do so we can win, take a piece of that market share, beat our competition? This is a game of winning. You're playing against people. And I want everyone to succeed. This is just like a sport. It's just like you don't really hate the person that you're playing against. You just want to win the game. And then a good sport, you can always just recognize it's still just a game. That's how business is. You don't hate the people that are your competition, but you also want to beat them. You want to beat them and you appreciate them as people. They're made in the image of God, and you got to recognize that they're great people with a soul, and that's awesome. But you want to win the market share. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to win the market share in business. That's the goal. So what is your winning aspiration? Where are you going to play the game? And how do you plan to win? Now, the next one is a little bit trickier, I guess. And that's of what are the capabilities that need to be in place to require you to win. So I want to let's walk through an example quick, I guess. If you wanted to be, I don't know, we'll still say a life coach or something, because that seems to be a lot of the people who listen to this. If you wanted to be a life coach, what capabilities need to put you to the next level? So I think a lot of times this is where we talk about credentials. What kind of credentials would be required to put you to the next level as a life coach? You could get certifications, you could have degrees, you could have business success stories, you could have results, testimonies. And if those don't exist, then you need to put those down as what these capabilities need to be there for me to win. I need to have this type of credential. I need to have this type of certification. I need to have all this different stuff stacked up, because if I have all these capabilities laid out, then it should be way easier. So we're looking at capabilities. If you're trying to be the number one automotive manufacturer in the world, what capabilities must be in place? Well, you need to have an ability to quickly integrate emerging technology. You need to make sure that you have the management structures and systems to be chasing the technological innovation that's going to be happening in the next century. There's all sorts of these different strategies depending on what level you want to look at it, whether you're a solopreneur or whether you're a large company. You want to be able to figure out what are all the things that need to happen. What kind of IT infrastructure are you going to need? It's easy to talk about capabilities from an IT standpoint, I think. But the idea is, what are all the things, what is the set and configuration of capabilities required to win this way? Okay. What capabilities must be in place? Look at these questions too. As you ask these questions, like the what, the where, the how, what capabilities, it forces you to start brainstorming these solutions. And gosh, we always talk about on this show just the power of awesome questions, right? When you have great questions, when you ask these great questions, you finally can get great answers. But oftentimes we ask stupid questions. Like, elementary school, no such thing as a stupid question. Yeah, there is. Yep, there's such thing as stupid question. You want to ask empowering questions. You want to ask questions that are going to get you to the results you're looking for. So I think these are just great questions you can go through. And the final aspect to strategy in the lay context is what are the systems you're going to need in place? So you have the capabilities. Now, when it comes to operating, and when I say operating, I mean executing. When it comes to executing the strategy, what are these systems need to be in place? What structure, what measures, what procedures, what needs to happen every day to continuously chip away at the beast? Because, like I said, most people I work with or that call me are big thinkers. And more power to them. They're big thinkers. They think outside the box. They're very creative. A lot of times they're pretty good with strategy. But this is the part that they just get frozen on. And that is, how do we execute this? What do we need to do every single day? What systems do we need to put into place? What does that look like? I'll give you an example. One of my clients has 3 relatively large businesses that he works on. I think he's partial owner in one of them. He owns one fully, and I think he does some contracting for the other. So these are 3 pretty significant aspects of his life, and he really struggled with he can figure out what the goal is. He knows where to play. He knows how he's going to win. He knows all the things that need to happen, but he doesn't know what are the systems. What do I need to do today? Right? What do I need to do today? What do I need to do next week? What do I need to do 3 weeks from now? How do I compound this into a process? So what we did was we broke up his week, really, and it comes down to some relatively straightforward time management techniques, but it's about allocating a certain amount of time every single day to do a certain segment of his business, something that needs to be done. And if you can break out that, you're basically creating an operating plan when you can look at a calendar and you can budget in the time of the things that need to happen. You can block out things in your schedule and the meetings that need to happen and the people you need to coordinate together, and then the follow-ups, and then the results and the evaluation of the results, and then the follow-ups. And you want to systematically push that into your calendar. You want to put together a project execution plan. And when you can put together that project execution plan, you can figure out the different systems of how you want to manage that. You see, like one of my systems I like to do is I actually just lay it out in a timeline, and then we convert that timeline into our Google Calendar, and I can pull my team into different meetings or anything like that. Some people use like Trello boards. I mean, there's a million different ways you can use whiteboards, but the fact of the matter, what you got to do is you got to have deadlines for when stuff needs to get done. And like you say deadlines, so many people freak out. Like, deadlines. Yeah, you got to have deadlines for when things need to get done, because we got to put together systems. And my undergrad is in systems engineering. So if you don't like you got to put together systems that ultimately end up working for you, that ultimately end up taking care of things. You can slowly start to automate your schedule. You can slowly start to automate the processes. You can slowly start to automate all this different stuff. So it's like you can manage multiple things or multiple aspects of your company when you kind of get down that system. And it might be like a legitimate system, like an IT system where you can lay out different workflows and things like that. It could be an intangible system. It could just be your rhythm, your routine. All these things that happen in between, the hard system and the soft system. So it's like you want to figure out what that looks like, because that's going to be an important part. And that's where that's what separates, I think, the people that are like Elon Musk from the people that are just really, fantasy daydreamers. And some of the fantasy daydreamers might be a bazillion times more creative or more intelligent than someone like Elon Musk. But the fact is, he figured out a way to create systems that allowed him to execute the plans that he had, execute the ideas, execute all of the strategy that came into place. People like Steve Jobs, they figured out a way to execute it. They figured out a way to get things done. So when you look at the world in general, I think there's primarily 2 aspects people fall into. Some are executors, some are thinkers, or idea people, I'll say. So you have idea people and you have executors. The executors usually go get jobs because they work really well within companies that have kind of confined strategies. They have a manager that can give them the things they need to do, and they just crank it out and they just work. And those executors really do well in corporate settings or a big company, or some where they're working for people and teams, things like that, where the idea people usually get discouraged by that because their ideas exceed the environment that they're in. And it gets frustrating because it's like, well, I could do that. I got so many ideas and I want to be. But the problem is the executors need the idea people. The idea people need the executors. Now, there's a very few amount of people that can do both. And that's where you want to try to be. I firmly believe that you want to try to be both. Because if you can take this crazy idea and ground it into some kind of executable strategy, now you're moving. Now you're really doing something. Because now you can take this crazy idea and you can figure out a way to implement it. So you can figure out the what. What is the winning aspiration? Where are we going to play? What's the plan? How are we going to get this thing out there? What's going on? What context are we working on? What field are we on? If we're looking at the sports analogy, the goal is first we're here to win the game. The second is what field are we playing on? What does that look like? Is it a football field? Is it a basketball court? Is it a volleyball court? Is it a hockey rink? What is it? Because if we know that, we can totally change the game. We can change our strategy. I'm not going to wear ice skates if I'm going on a football field. Doesn't make sense. You want to know where you're playing. And I would say everybody should go through this checklist with their business, and they should do at least quarterly strategy meetings, at least quarterly strategy revamps. Looking to the future. Excuse me. So we got, what is the winning aspiration? Where will we play? How will we win? So now, okay, we're decided we're on a football, we're going to win the game. We want to win the game. Okay, what are we playing? We're playing on a football field. Okay, how do we win? Well, we're going to need to have plays, right? We're going to need to have plays, like little ideas or things that are going to set us apart. So if we do this, it'll allow us to open up a hole for the running back to run through to the end zone. Okay, so that's how we will do it. What capabilities need to be in place? So we're going to need an offensive line. We're going to need to hit the weight room. We're going to need to do a lot of different stuff. We're going to need to be stronger. We're going to need to have better fundamentals, all those different things. Okay, and then what management systems are required? Well, we're going to need to practice for the next 6 months. We're going to need to have mini camp. We're going to all these different things, and it makes a lot of sense when you use a sports analogy. And I think it's easy to relate to that. Depending on what your business is, you can do the same thing. What, where, how, what capabilities, what systems need to be in place. That's strategy, folks. That's this is one of the most underrated things you can do in business. And I think that most mid-level to senior level managers or people that work in a corporate setting know this. Military officers know this. I will say, here's a couple things I've noticed working with some really impressive strategists that are senior levels at large companies. And one of the things I'm always very impressed with that they do is they can put themselves in the shoes of other people very well. Very well. And it's like it takes a lot of learning to do that. And I think if we can just cut off the timeline and you can start to do this yourself in your business, it changes the game. So for example, like when you're looking at evaluating a strategic partner, you want to put yourself in their shoes so you know what they want. Because if that's the art of a negotiation. If you can really figure out exactly what they want, what's in it for them, and take 20, 30 minutes just thinking like you're them. And that's what these guys do. And I couldn't believe it when I started to watch this happen, how much time they spend thinking about what's in it for them, thinking about how we could make this sweeter for them. How do we make this deal sweet for them? What do we need to offer them? Because what you want really quickly. That's pretty easy. But it's really hard to know what other people want. You do the same thing with the customer. What are they really looking for? So they do this with strategic partners. And then they'll do it with the customer. What is a customer really looking for? Let's really walk through that. Let's go down the customer's journey. Let's really figure out what their pain points are, what their struggles are. And they'll just spend tons of time figuring out, what does my strategic partner want? What does the customer want? And then they'll figure out, what does the competition want? What do they think? What do they think about us? Where are they better than us? Where can they just totally crush us and leave us out? What do they think of us? What do they think of the customer? And then they just are thinking about, they're putting themselves in the shoes of all these different people around them. So when it comes time to figure out what we want to do, we've got it all mapped out. We're like, this is kind of how the world is right now. So here's how we want to structure our communication. Here's how we want to structure our offers to these people. Here's how we want to structure our negotiation to these different people. It's awesome. I mean, so if I could summarize just what I've seen all these other people, I don't do this very well. I'm trying to now that I see everyone doing it. But it's just really putting yourself in the shoes of other people. Even your employees, right? Even people that work for you. Even if you're in the military, if you're a leader, putting yourself in the shoes of these other, when you can just leave your body and go into the other person's body, or go in and just really think like them, you're at a ridiculous advantage. You're at a ridiculous advantage because most people don't think that way. Most people are like so into themselves. Most people are the 80% of the entrepreneurs I mentioned at the beginning, like, oh, well, I just want better hours and I want to be able to travel and, use a laptop and just go all over the world and do all this. It's like, that's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about like, how do I really solve this struggling single mother's need right now? Like, if that's my ideal client, how do I really solve that problem? What do I need to do? How do I make it work? I'm telling you, like, it's a simple concept when you start to do it, it really starts to work because you're putting yourself in the shoes of other people. If I could look back on all the things I messed up, I would do that way more with everything, even your spouse. You could do it with your spouse. You could do it in business. Like really putting and it's not that like you care about what other people think. Like it's not like, well, I don't care about what other people think. It's like, well, you should recognize, you should humble yourself to the fact that other people are going to be exchanging money with you, that other people are going to be interacting with you, that other people are going to have relationships with you. So you want to put yourself into their shoes to facilitate what you're trying to get done. I'm not saying from like an emotional standpoint, right? So it's like, well, I care what other people think, so I stop doing what I want to do because I am afraid of what other people will think. Well, that's totally, being afraid of what other people think is different than not caring what other people think. Like, I'm not afraid of what other people think. I care what other people think because it matters in the world. And anybody that doesn't care what other people think, they have a name for that. It's called a sociopath. It's somebody that has zero empathetic regard for other people. That's what that is. Like, so you can live the world that way, but nobody actually doesn't care what other people think. So you want to recognize what other people are interested in, what other people want, so you can be grounded and you can have EQ. That's what EQ is understanding how you're perceived. And even if you're perceived negatively, that's okay. It's just about understanding you're perceived negatively. And if you decide to continue to be perceived that way, because it's better for your business or better for the statement or your strong point of view, then that's good. You just don't want to let what they think control your behavior. You just want to recognize it and then you can decide logically. You don't want to emotionally attach. I hope that clarifies that decision, because I hear all the time, like, you got to just stop caring what other people think. It's like, no, you just want to stop allowing the opinions of other people to dictate your emotional state. That's what you mean when you say, I don't care what other people think. And I'll say it too. Like, I'll say I don't care what other people think. And that's what I mean. It's that I recognize they might look unfavorably at something I'm doing, and I'm going to continue to do it anyway because I still think there's a better long-term benefit, for example, right? Those are the types of things you want to look at. But putting yourself in the shoes of other people, game changer. I love it. And that's something that I guess I would notice as I've interacted with a lot of these different strategic thinkers. That's something they do better than most other people. So if you can incorporate that into your life and your business, your family, and whatever, I mean, I think it's going to only have benefits to really put yourself out there and put yourself in the position of other people you're trying to help. If you're trying to sell to a customer, you better put yourself in the customer's shoes. Well, why isn't this customer? They're not buying my thing. They're not buying anything. Well, have you thought about their life? Well, yeah, but I'm trying to charge what I think it's worth and everything. What you think it's worth or what the customer thinks it's worth? Big difference, bucko. You can decide all day what you think it's worth. But if the customer doesn't think it's worth that, then it ain't worth that. That's how supply and demand works. Yeah, but it's abundance and it's just charging my worth. And well, you are worth what the market says you are worth. And you are worth the amount of value you put into the marketplace. Now, you have inherent worth, and you're philosophically worth everything, But when you're talking about worth as from a financial standpoint, you're worth what the market says you're worth. That's the fact of the matter, folks. So, I mean, this is why strategy is important. And this is why it's been pissing me off when people keep talking about why they want to be entrepreneurs. You should be an entrepreneur because you think you can do it better. You can think you can do it cheaper, or you think you can do it faster, whatever that is. You can deliver faster. You can deliver your service faster. You can get your customer the result faster, whatever that looks like. Faster, cheaper, better. That's the business world. That's how you're going to start taking out the market share. How do I get faster? How do I get better? How do I get cheaper? Look at your strengths. Look at your strengths and figure out which one of your strengths is going to allow you to do that. And that's really it. I mean, guys, this is like, 90% of my seminars. This is what we talk about, stuff like this. And it gets more complicated. There's more to it, but that's really it. What's your goal? What's your winning aspiration? Where are you going to play? How are you going to win? What capabilities do you need? What are the management systems you need in place? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the market opportunities in your space? What are the threats? That's what we got to do. That's what we got to figure out. Then we got to go down the customer's journey. Oh, well, I don't know what my customer. I don't know who my customer is. Okay, ideal client identification. Then we go through your customer's journey. Who is this person you're trying to sell to? Who is this person you're trying to help? People say, well, I really want to help people. I want to help the world. I want to help the world, man. It's like, okay, who do you want to help? Blossom where you're planted. Who can you help near you today? What customers, clients, who already reaches out to you for help? Who are you helping? Well, I want to be able to help everybody. Bad answer. You want to be able to help certain specific person that you can name down to a list. In fact, when we're going through this co-working space, we're putting in a list of 25 people together, 25 exact people that we know will sign up for co-working space when we open the doors. Like that's how exact to their name. Like, oh, this person definitely would do it because they would benefit from our product or service. That's how specific, like exact people. If you don't have that figured out yet, you want to get very specific. Then you want to figure out the trends within that group of people. Like, oh yeah, they all tend to be, men and women ages 29 to 32 that are married, but they're maybe just fresh off a divorce, and whatever. Or married is fresh off a divorce. I guess that doesn't make sense at all, but it's a raw podcast, and that's what we do. We say things and then we later correct things. Anyway, that's the idea, folks. So strategy, playing to win. How are you going to play to win in the upcoming months? How are you playing to win in your business or in your personal life? How are you getting into your job if you're working at a job and playing to win? How are you playing to win in everything you do? What does that look like? How do you figure this out? You got to have the goal. You got to figure out what the rules of the game are and how you can start to play to win. Build on those strengths, people. Eliminate, delegate, or outsource your weaknesses. These are the strategies we talked about time and time again. And I'm just reiterating it because we forget so easily. There's so much we can do with this stuff, but it's a game that we're taking the market share. We got to be competitive. Competitiveness wins. You say, well, I don't know if I want to win. It's like, well, you're going to get crushed by other people that do want to win. If you decide to go to the NBA and play in the NBA, let's say you could just jump into the NBA right now and you say, well, I don't know if I really want to win. It's like, well, then everyone else is going to crush you. And if you're like, well, I really want to win now, it's like, well, now at least you got a fighting freaking chance because you can work hard and you might be able to. Me as a 6'1" white post player, I don't know how well I'd do, but the idea is that you come out there and you play to win and you play in the environment because the market doesn't care what your opinion is. The market doesn't care what you think you're worth. The market doesn't care about anything other than the amount of value you're going to bring. That's what the market cares about. So with that said, folks, strategy in a nutshell. I'm going to give you a couple different resources though, and I'll have Kristen type this up and put this in the show notes as well. But the packet I was talking about, like I said, you can go harvardbusinessschool.com, look up marketing analysis toolkit. And I think it's marketing analysis toolkit situation analysis. If you look that up, it's like $8. And guys, I would recommend going to Harvard Business Review. You can buy all this different stuff for nothing, and this is all the same stuff you're going to get in an MBA class. This is all, if you just had access to the syllabus, you could Google a freaking MBA, not to downplay the merit of an MBA, but it's just like a lot of the resources are out there that you can read for virtually nothing. And a lot of the strategy stuff that I was talking about today also comes from a book that I really enjoy. I started rereading it again, and it's called Playing to Win, How Strategy Really Works. It's by A.G. Lafley and Roger L. Martin. So you can see those resources if you want to deep dive all this stuff and apply it to your business, or you're always welcome to give me a call. I do free strategy calls. They usually take about 20-30 minutes. We can go through something that might work for you. And if you want to work together, we work together. If you don't want to work together, you don't work together. It's just pretty straightforward. So those are all different options if you're looking for figuring out what the best strategy looks like for you. So with that said, folks, that's all I had today. I wanted to keep it tight and simple. Yeah, really simple, I guess. But I hope you're taking notes because it was very dense. And like I said, I gave you some of those different resources you can look up in the show notes if you want to find them on your own. So with that said, this was Winners, Wallets, and World Views podcast. You can find us on Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, everything, YouTube. And if you want to, like I said, just reiterate, we're closing in 100 episodes. So if you leave a message, if you leave a comment and a 5-star review, a positive comment, some way that's helped you in your business, in your life, in your goals, in your worldview, whatever that looks like. If you leave a comment, a 5-star review on Apple iTunes, screenshot it, send that to info@aaronjarmstrong.com. We'll enter you into the raffle for the $200 Amazon gift card. And without any further ado, folks, thank you so much. Be somebody.